we're reading Bereshith.
Also known as Genesis. I'm going to be reading the Aramaic and Palestinian Targum. This is the edited by Zen Garcia edition. And what are you reading?
I'm reading out of the scriptures.
The scriptures? Oh, that's the
version. Yeah.
Okay.
The scriptures version.
All right.
The scriptures 2009.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll start. At the beginning, Yahuwah, and it says Lord, but I'll be changing it to Yahuwah.
One says Elohim.
Elohim. Well, maybe that's the proper translation. It would be Elohim. At the beginning, Yahuwah created the heavens and the earth was a vacancy and desolation, solitary of the sons of men, and void of every animal, and darkness was upon the face of the abyss. And the spirit of mercies from before Yahuwah breathed upon the face of the waters.
So that's something that is different, obviously, is the spirit of mercies before Yahuwah, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mercies.
Which is cool. I mean, what we were saying is, what is the spirit of mercies?
Right.
You know, when we have the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, the spirit of remembrance.
Right.
Spirit of, I'm sure there are more. Oh, there's 7 spirits of Elohim, right?
Right.
All right, so this is the Jerusalem. In wisdom, Yahuwah created, and the earth was vacancy and desolation and solitary of the sons of men, and void of every animal, and spirit of mercies, again, from before the Lord, before Yahuwah breathed upon the face of the waters. And Yahuwah said, let there be light, and to enlighten above. And at once there was light. And Yahuwah beheld the light, that it was good. And Yahuwah divided between the light and the darkness.
Yeah, and so this really is an aha moment for me, thinking about the verses that speak of Torah being light and what fellowship hath light with darkness. So 2 Corinthians 6:14 talks about what fellowship hath light with darkness. Proverbs 6:23 talks about your commands are a lamp and your Torah is light.
Yeah.
Right? And then John 3 speaks about lightness and darkness. So you were saying, you know, we were talking about Yah creating this.
Almost good and evil.
Yeah, he created righteousness and unrighteousness.
Because we think of light and darkness like
as a physical thing.
As a physical thing, but I'm sure it was, but at the same time, it's good and evil.
Yeah.
And light being his word, light being his Torah instruction.
Yeah.
And Yahuwah called the light day, and he made it that the inhabitants of the world might labor by it. And the darkness called he night, and made it that in it the creatures might have rest. And it was evening and it was morning the first day. And it was evening and it was morning in the order of the work of creation.
And I think too, you know, we think about we grow up in a society where we wake up, we go to work, we come home, we rest. But it was Yahuwah from the beginning who created what's the word? You know, he created us to be workers of the, you know, to work, right? Work with our hands during the day. And, you know, as the sun goes down, we're to rest from that work. Not Shabbat rest, but we are to, you know, rest from the labor of the day. So I just think it's interesting that this came from him. This is not something that was conceptualized in America or, you know, in the world. You know what I mean? It's just kind of interesting. Like, he's the one that said, he created this so that the creatures, you know, in it, the inhabitants in it would labor by it.
You said that, but it's interesting. I was just reading here, his first creation was at night. Like, he didn't create during the day.
Well, that's interesting.
The Lord created the heavens and the earth was vacancy, desolation, solitude, the sons of men, the void of every animal, and darkness was upon the face of the abyss before he created day, or light.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Why did he created all these in the dark, the earth and moon? I'm sorry, the earth and the heavens. Well,
technically, all of this, he created the heavens and the earth. And after that, the very first thing he created in it was light. So he created the day to then create everything else within it. Maybe. I don't know.
That's interesting. Are the foundations laid yet? You know, he created Yeshua before the foundations of the earth.
Oh, that's true. And wisdom was with him.
Oh, that's crazy. And Yahuwah said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate between the waters above and the waters beneath. And let there be a separation between the waters above and the waters below. You want to say anything on that? Flat Earth?
Well, I think what you were talking about, wherever it is that he made the expanse or the firmament, bearing it up or upbearing it with
That's
three
right
fingers.
near, yeah.
Okay.
And Yahuwah made the expanse, upbearing it with 3 fingers between the confines of the heavens and the waters of the ocean, and separated between the waters which were below the expanse and the waters which were above, in the collection or covering of the expanse. And it was so. And Yahuwah called the expanse the heavens, and it was evening and it was morning the second day.
Yeah, I just have this visual. I mean, we read this as, let an expanse or let a firmament come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And he made the expanse and he separated from the waters. But I literally see him like a hand, like 3 fingers, like
lifting up the
firmament,
the rakia.
Yeah.
Was Isaiah calls it molten, like metal, or Job calls it that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And that's just
it's
something.
An actual physical structure
right.
holding up water above us.
Yes. Is he bearing it up with this? Is he holding it up? Is it not? Is he lifting it up? I mean, is he still holding it there?
I don't think so, because he would be above the firmament.
Okay, yeah.
Above on the 7th firmament. But
it's just.
I don't know. Maybe who knows?
Well, it's just amazing to think to have this visual representation, like this visual of Yahuwah,
lifting it up.
Lifting it up. You don't get that in Genesis necessarily.
It's huge, though. We see the stars in the firmament. We see the moon and the sun is in the firmament. Mm-hmm. So this expanse that he separated between the waters is huge.
Yeah. And
he just lifted up with 3 fingers like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you could go down a whole different path with flat Earth, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And Yahuwah said, let the lower waters, which remain under the heavens, be gathered together into one place, and the earth be dried, that the land may be visible. And it was so. And Yahuwah called the dry land the earth, and the place of the assemblage of waters called he the seas. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. And Yahuwah said, let the earth increase the grassy herb, whose seed seedeth, and the fruit tree, making fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth.
Well, that just gets me all kinds of excited for a garden.
Grassy
I don't know.
The grassy herb whose seed seedeth. So
yeah,
it reseeds itself.
Right?
Yeah. And the fruit tree makes fruit, which has a seed in itself upon the earth. So. And the earth produced grasses and herbage, whose seed seedeth. And the tree maketh fruit after its kind. And Yahuwah saw that it was good, and it was evening and it was morning the 3rd day. And Yahuwah said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens, to distinguish between the day and the night. And let there be for signs, and for festival times, and for the numbering of them, the account of days. Wow.
That is very different from,
I'm sorry.
No. Well, and when I say different, I mean it's different from, the versions that we have now, which obviously the scripture says, much more accurate in terms of using verbiage that's, more accurately represented of the Hebrew language and that sort of thing, I think. But appointed times, mine says for signs and appointed times and for days and years. So can you read that part again? Let them be for signs and for festival times, and
for numbering by them the account of days.
What does that mean? And for the numbering by them, the numbering of what?
Numbering by the stars. The stars. Well, Enoch.
Yes.
Enoch says that men greatly err because they don't take into account these 4 stars when numbering the calendar.
So the lights are used for numbering days?
I don't know that we're talking about pass away the revolution. So we're talking about the sun, moon, and stars right here. Because it's the lights in the firmament. So there are lights in the firmament, all 3 of them are used for festival times.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't distinguish, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't say the sun does this, the moon does this, the stars, like, it doesn't discuss necessarily their roles, maybe not yet. in terms of festival times and days and nights and that sort of
so
thing.
we only use the moon to find the feast days, but really we should be using everything.
All three together.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating.
Which I think is true, because when we use the summer or the spring equinox to find the beginning of the year, and then we wait for the moon to start the first month.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't know it would be the first month if we didn't have the spring equinox. But somehow we have to use the stars as well. And
that's really kind of from like that's where Enoch kind of brings in the stars into the...
Yeah, but I don't fully understand it. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's why we're not lunar Sabbath so far, because, they don't necessarily use the stars.
Okay.
So let me just finish that whole thing. Let them be for signs and for festival times and for the numbering of them that account of days, and the numbering by them, the account of days, and for the sanctifying of the beginning of months and the beginning of years, the passing away of months and the passing away of years, the revolutions of the sun, the birth of the moon, and the revolvings of seasons. That's so amazing. It's
that
so
is
different.
So different.
Passing away of years, I'm not sure. That's interesting. I guess the beginning of years and the end of years. The beginning of months and the end of months.
Yeah.
The revolutions of the sun, the birth of the moon.
So as it comes, we have a new moon every month? Is that what it's saying? As it's kind of like born every so many days?
Yeah. See, you think about that, like the birth of the moon, you almost think that it could be the sliver. The first sliver, because it's a birth. It's like the birth of the moon as it grows up to become a full moon.
Yeah.
And then it slowly dies off to become the sliver again. I don't know.
Well, here's what I find interesting is, so it says, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to distinguish between the day and the night. Okay, so you said sun, moon, and stars. But, really, these lights, they sanctify the beginning of months, the beginning of years, the passing of months, the passing of years. And then it specifically calls out these lights are used for determining the revolutions of the sun and the birth of the moon and the revolving of seasons, okay? But it almost makes you feel like it's talking about the stars specifically, kind of govern them.
And the moon,
yeah, it almost makes you feel like the stars are kind of like doing all of these. They're kind of giving the orders out to everything else.
Well, this is interesting. So it keeps going, and I think the next part is really good. It kind of goes with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So the Jerusalem says, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for the sanctifying by them of the beginning of months and years. So it says the same thing.
Yeah.
And let them be for luminaries in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth. Okay, so if that's talking about what you're talking about, they're the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting, because the next verse says, and it was so, and Yahuwah made 2 great luminaries, and they were equal in glory, 21 years less, 602 and 70 parts of an hour. Do you understand that?
No.
And they were equal
in
glory, 21 years less, 602 and 70 parts of an hour.
So basically one was older than it's like an older and a younger brother, right?
And they were equal in glory. So they were equal in brightness, maybe? Because I don't know if it's in here, but I know the moon gave a false report to the sun and was diminished. Oh, yeah, I think it says it up here. Yeah, she was diminished. Okay. I went ahead.
So they were made equal. They were made to be equals in the beginning, but then
equal in glory. So probably equal in brightness.
That's amazing.
Just different light. Probably.
Yeah. I mean, because you don't think about the sun and the moon even being like, makes you feel like they're individuals.
Yeah.
Not humans, but you know what I mean. Like they have these.
Sure. And they're the exact same size. How are they the exact same size and they're so far apart according to science?
Not according. Yeah. Science would not agree with that, right?
Okay.
But there you go. So, right, come back up to here. So let them be for luminaries in the expanse. So these are 2 great luminaries. But what about the stars?
Yeah, so that's why I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, because all this up here has to do with the stars. And then after that he says, and the Lord made two great luminaries. And they were equal. But I don't know. It all talks about the luminaries.
But if you think about it, as we've been talking about these, like the shooting star, right, being a fallen, what is it? What did we recently learn about
The demons.
Yeah,
demons that are listening into the angels in the firmaments.
So were they luminary?
They can't stay up there and they fall.
Right. So then, does this really just mean that?
Testament of Solomon. Okay.
Yeah. No. Well, my point is, if it says, and the Lord said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens." Mine says lights, right? So what are the lights? Because I feel like, yeah, it is ultimately, I think, the sun, moon, and stars, but this happens before. I guess maybe he's just saying, he's kind of giving a general overview of like, these things are going to rule X, Y, and Z, the suns, the appointed times, the days, and the years. And then he kind of goes into what they are, right? I don't know.
I think you're right, though. I think this part up here is all the stars. Because you use the stars to determine, you should be using them, not just the moon and the sun, but you should be using them to determine festival times.
And that's the one thing we can't figure out, right? The stars is something that no one's been able to really figure out.
Some people think they have.
Well,
I think they might have. I don't know. Numbering of the count of days, you use the stars for sanctifying the beginning of the months, beginning of years, passing away the months, passing away the years, revolutions of the sun, so the year, birth of the moon, and revolving the seasons.
Yeah, and then it says, okay, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth. Like, in addition to, right? And it says, and it came to be so, period. Like, and then he kind of like, and then almost is like, and then Yahuwah created two great lights.
Two great lights, yeah.
So.
And they were equal, yeah.
Anyways, interesting thought. Okay.
And afterwards, the moon recited against the sun a false report, and she was diminished. And the sun was appointed to be the greater light to rule the day.
And what did the moon do? Say that again. It did what against the sun?
Recited against the sun a false report.
What does recited mean? This is when I wish I had like a Strong's Concordance, like an actual, concordance or something.
Yeah, we need to buy one. Yeah, I don't know.
Recited. And almost recited mean it told the false report, right?
Lied.
Yeah.
What the sun was doing or something.
That's just fascinating. There's something there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. I may have to go check on a chick.
How many chicks do we have right now?
40.
40. And we started with how many? 54? 53?
54.
54. And we've lost a lot in 1 week.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see where we were. The sun was appointed to be greater. So the sun was appointed to be the greater light to rule the day, and the moon to be the inferior light to rule the night, and the stars. And Yahuwah ordained them unto their offices in the expanse of the heavens to give forth light upon the earth, and to minister by day and by night, to distinguish between the light of the day and the darkness of the night. And Yahuwah beheld that it was good, and it was evening, and it was morning, day the 4th. So what does it say, day the 4th?
I don't know. Oh, that's a typo. I think. Unless there's something called the day of the 4th.
Zen. Right.
May the 4th be with you. Okay.
And Yahuwah said, let the lakes of the waters swarm forth the reptile, the living animal, and the fowl which flieth, whose nest is upon the earth. The lakes and the waters.
Let the waters teem with shoals of living beings.
And
let birds fly above the earth on the face of the expanse.
Yours sounds so different than even KJV or something.
I know, yeah. It's because it's better.
Whose nest is upon the earth. Okay, and let the way of the bird be upon the air of the expanse of the heavens. And Yahuwah created the great tannins Tannins. The Leviathan and his yoke fellow, which are
Wow.
prepared for the day of consolation.
Hold on, I gotta write that down. Created great sea creatures. Leviathan.
I guess that's what tannins is. I have no idea
Yeah.
what tannins is. The Leviathan and his yoke fellow.
Who's that?
It could be Behemoth, but I've also read that there was 2 Leviathans, a male and a female, which are prepared for the day of consolation. So it's, what does consolation mean? We'll look.
What? Let me see. Where you at?
So I know it's also consolation. What does consolation mean?
Like to console, like when there's mourning and
Yeah,
there will be a day of consolation for mourning.
I know when the children of Israel are in the wilderness, whether it's when they were in the wilderness from Egypt or from the second Exodus, when we are gathered again, like Revelation 12 says, we're supposed to eat Leviathan.
Wow.
He's prepared a meal, like he's prepared as a food for us. So
Yeah.
in the day of consolation, consoling us.
Yeah.
Probably out of being
Is that in
gathered
Revelation?
and great.
You said that's in Revelation?
No, I think eating of Leviathan is an extra biblical text.
We'll just
I
call
can't
them
remember what it was.
missing
Enoch,
text.
Missing text. I think
The
Enoch, says it.
the removed text. I don't like extra biblical anymore because
Extra
it makes it seem like
Catholicized text.
yeah. Well, it makes it seem like they're less relevant or less important than here. And if they were with all of these other books in the Dead Sea Scrolls or in the Septuagint, then they're equally.
They are set apart for the wise.
Yeah.
Second Esdras and Enoch 104 says that.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Say something. And every living animal. Leviathan and his yoke fellow, which are prepared for the day of consolation. And every. Are we almost to chapter 2?
31 verses. Yeah, we got about 10, 12 more
there
verses.
It is. Okay,
yeah.
we're right there. And every living animal which creepeth, in which the clear waters had sworn forth after their kind, the kinds which are clean and the kinds which are not clean. Clean and unclean animals.
Where is that? It's not in here. Read that again.
And every living animal which creepeth, in which the clear waters had swarmed forth, the clear waters, so it's not salt water maybe.
Yeah.
So the clear waters had swarmed forth after their kind, the kinds which are clean and the kinds which are not clean.
So they're kind. So that is absolutely missing. Clean, unclean. That's in verse 21.
So we're talking about animals that came from the waters, like the reptiles, the birds.
And we're also talking about, he's already basically giving instruction without giving it. He's creating a distinction with
Just
light
like
and darkness.
light and darkness.
And now he's got clean and unclean. So he is creating choices for man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyways.
But that's been done away with, so don't worry about it.
JK.
And every fowl which flieth with wings after their kinds, and the clean and the unclean. So the fowl which is clean and unclean.
So the fowl says,
Sure.
so basically when you see kind in verse 21, just know that there's an extra little, there's a part really that's kind of missing that talks about every kind of, there's a every living being that moves, and that includes birds. They're clean and unclean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's clean and unclean birds. That's interesting. I don't think I ever caught up on that in the term. Mm-hmm. We would go what?
Well, I was just thinking, like, I guess we'll get in, since we're reading the Torah from the beginning, we'll get into like the dietary laws, right? Yeah. Where it'll talk about.
We're going
specifically.
Kind of slow, so it'll be a few months.
Yeah.
But yeah. And let's see. Well, we'll hit it here in Noah in just a few chapters when Noah is told to bring 2 of every kind of unclean animal, and 7 of
Well,
every clean animal.
I was thinking about birds, like, because we've been talking about like animals and how, obvious things, certain things are that we would never eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we would never eat. Give like 2 examples. We would never eat.
And I would never. Well, I guess that would be.
You never eat a horse.
Oh, I thought I was thinking about birds.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I want to I want to talk about birds.
I would
in a second.
never eat a horse or an electric eel.
Right.
I would never eat those things, and those things aren't normal to eat. I mean, some people eat horses. You would never eat your dog.
Yeah.
Or a cat.
But are horses and eels clean?
No, they're
not.
unclean.
They're unclean, and
so are a dog and a cat.
Right.
Yeah, so why,
But then we see a pig, and we immediately think bacon, pork.
Yeah, it's socially acceptable to eat a pig.
It's socially acceptable.
Every single time that a pig is mentioned in the Bible, it is in a negative connotation.
Right.
There's never a time when
it makes you like ew.
Yeah,
you want to ew or
disgusting.
cringe. Like there's nothing about like that you think, oh man, I definitely got to get me some. I got to get my pork on now.
We've eaten plenty of pork in our life. But
I know. I'm not judge. I'm not. This isn't like a judgment thing. I'm just saying. Like I was trying to get to the bird aspect of it. Like, what does it say specifically? Because we know that it has to chew the cud. Like, whatever you eat has to be able to chew the cud, right, and have split hoofs. So, what is a bird? Like the difference between a clean and unclean bird, for example. Do you know? Do you remember? You know more.
No, I think. Well, from what I remember, it's. It mentions certain animals, like a kite is unclean,
right?
Or like an eagle is unclean.
But it's interesting, like, because for animals like
a lot of flying birds,
pigs, sheep, things like that, it's clear.
Yeah, but a lot of it tells you. I just can't remember all those things.
Flying birds. So is it?
It's a lot of flying birds. It's a lot of. You're fine. A lot of like flying birds. A lot of predatory birds.
Okay.
Are unclean. But, the Targum, I remember, does say, about like turkeys or chickens or something, the feathers or the size of the bird has to be larger than your hand.
To eat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't,
That's just fascinating because I don't really think about, something that I need to study more or have a deeper study into is just clean and unclean birds. Mm-hmm. I feel like I know more on the mammal side.
Yeah.
Eat mammal.
Yeah, because you only eat certain birds. It's not like it's acceptable to eat an eagle.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't, if it was.
But is it acceptable to eat something that we would naturally think to eat is also my question. Is there something out there that we could eat?
Oh yeah, like an ostrich. I think you could probably eat an ostrich.
Yeah, that one, I think that's, I don't know that I would, but.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though, but you could.
Okay.
And probably a flamingo and.
Yeah.
I'm
going to have to go check on them in a minute.
Okay. All right, let's finish this.
Verse 20 in Elohim 22.
And Yahuwah beheld that it was good, and he blessed them, saying, increase and multiply, and fill the waters of the seas, and let the fowl multiply upon the earth. And it was evening, it was morning, day the 5th. And Yahuwah said, let the soil of the earth bring forth living creature.
Soil, I love that.
According to his kind, of the dust, I guess. And the kind that is clean, and the kind that is unclean, cattle, and creeping thing, and the creature of the earth according to his kind. And it was so. What's even more interesting is, all this is good, right? The creation is good at this point.
Yeah.
So he created clean and unclean animals and called them good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of similar to, New Covenant, calling us, good.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Us being Gentiles and Hebrew, I guess, or covenanted people and Gentiles, the heathen.
Clean and unclean.
But calling clean and unclean, but calling us good under Yeshua, right?
Yeah.
Being able to call us good.
That's right.
But, I don't know. And creeping thing, and the creature, did I read that? And the creature of the earth according to his kind, and it was so. And Yahuwah made the beast of the earth after his kind, the clean and the unclean, and cattle after their kind, and every reptile of the earth after its kind, the clean and the unclean. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. What's interesting is before on day 5th, the 5th day,
on day 5th,
he created reptile, because it says day the 5th.
Yeah.
On the 5th day, he created reptiles, but over here, on the sixth day, he also created reptiles. So these are reptiles of the water, and these are reptiles of the land. So maybe like turtles. Well,
the turtles could be land or sea, right?
Tortoises, I'm sorry.
Okay.
A tortoise. So the tortoise and then the turtle up here. Like the toad and the frog up here.
The alligator and the crocodile.
No.
Oh.
I don't know.
False.
False. Okay. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. So we're almost done. And Yahuwah said to the angels who ministered before him.
Oh, such an important point. Go ahead. This is verse 26 of chapter 1. Keep reading.
Well, it's interesting. Where were the angels created? You know,
they were with him from the beginning.
They were with him, yeah. They ministered before
him.
Because,
and that makes sense when you read this. Okay, so read that first part again.
And Yahuwah said to the angels who ministered before him.
Okay. Oh, it says right there who had been created in the second day.
We didn't read it. We should have
kept reading. But go ahead, read that part too.
Who had been created in the second day of the creation of the world.
Okay, but what I think is interesting, when you read Genesis 1:26, in probably any version of the Bible, it would say, mine says this, I don't know what KJV says, or CSB or anything else. ESV, I'll throw that one out there too, since people love that. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image.
Yeah, that's coming up.
So, no, but we don't know who us is in any of this.
Yeah, we assume it's either the
him and Yeshua,
or
Yeshua, he and Yeshua are doing it. But this paints a completely clearer picture of who us is, right?
Yeah,
so let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, are the angels? Did they look the same? Right? He didn't create. He did create angels, but we've had this conversation about man was created in Yahuwah's image. But this says in our image, in our likeness. So does that mean that the angels then were also they look like him?
Elohim?
Yeah,
possibly. There's also the angel of the Lord.
Oh,
angel of Yahuwah. There's a lot of
but did
correlation
he create
between him, the angel of Yahuwah, and Yahusha.
But did he create those on the second day? So what was created on the second day? You're going to read that verse again in a second. But what was created on the second day? It's funny because I'm reading this like I've never read Genesis in my entire
it's
life.
Amazing, and we've read the Targum before too.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, it's so much better.
So good.
Once you come to Torah.
Yeah, it is amazing. I'm trying to find where. I guess it's the second day. Okay, there's the first day.
Okay, in verse 8, and Elohim called the expanse heavens, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning the second day. So when he created the heavens, he put the angels in it, maybe, right?
Well, yeah, that's what Ascension of Isaiah shows, is you have 7 layers of heaven, of firmaments, and each layer has got a specific kind of angel.
That's amazing.
It's different glory. And our layer, our firmament, has got angels that are fighting each other right now. Because that's the war in heaven, right? In Revelation 12.
Right. I just find it fascinating. Okay. Read that again, just because I think that's so important.
And Yahuwah said to the angels who ministered before him, who had been created in the second day of creation of the world, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl which are in the atmosphere of heaven, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every reptile creeping upon the earth. And Yahuwah created man in his likeness.
Keep reading.
You're going to go check the chickens?
Yes, you keep reading and keep talking to yourself.
So this would be the Jerusalem, and...
What does Jerusalem mean?
It's just the Jerusalem Targum, or translation. And the word of Yahuwah created man in his likeness. In the likeness of the presence of Yahuwah, he created him. He, male and his yoke fellow, he created them. That's interesting because we just read Leviathan and his yoke fellow. So maybe that maybe we are right. We have read in other texts that non-canon texts that Leviathan there's a male and a female. So it's interesting right here. He created male and female also, and he calls them his yoke fellow. He created them in the image of Yahuwah. He created him with 248 members, with 365 nerves, and overlaid them with skin, and filled it with flesh and blood. So I'm going to have to go back over this with Deborah, because this is amazing. What does that mean? With 248 members, with 365 nerves, which is interesting for the days of the year. If there's 365. It's not 364, I don't know. And filled it with flesh and blood, male and female in their bodies. He created them, and he blessed them. And Yahuwah said to them, increase and multiply, and fill the earth with sons and daughters, and prevail over it in its possessions. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the heavens, and over every creeping animal that creepeth upon the earth. And Yahuwah said, behold, I have given you every herb whose seed seedeth upon the face of all the earth, and every unfruitful tree for the need of building and for burning. Unfruitful tree for the need of building and for burning. So this would be trees that don't produce fruit, I guess you can eat. Like pine trees. Can't eat a pine cone, so that's interesting. For building and for burning. And the tree in which is fruit seeding after its kind, to you it shall be for food. But to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the heavens, and to every reptile upon the earth, in which is the living soul, I have given all green herbs. Wow. So everything used to be a herbivore. And the animals have souls.
What verse are you on? Are you done?
No, I'm almost done, yeah.
Okay.
So this is interesting. So I won't read the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I won't read the whole thing again, but it's interesting. So he created, so first of all, look, he created him, male and female, male and his yoke fellow. So male and female, but that goes back to Leviathan and his yoke fellow. So we know that it looks like Leviathan has a female Leviathan. It's not talking about Behemoth.
Oh, so Leviathan has a female counterpart.
Well, yeah, and that's in whatever there, extra biblical text, non-canon text.
Okay.
So it's not, I wasn't sure if it's talking about Behemoth and Leviathan.
Okay, so so we're Genesis 1:27, and Elohim created the man in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created him, male and female, he created them. Mm-hmm. Okay,
So he created him with 248 members.
What?
With 365 nerves, and overlaid them with skin, and filled it with flesh and blood.
That's amazing. So he describes the human body.
Yeah. It's interesting, there's 365 nerves for the days of the year. 248
Every single day one of my nerves is shot.
Yes. I can totally relate. We have 3 kids. Yes, I can totally relate. Male and female in their bodies, which is kind of weird.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but I guess they have the ability to become male and female by chromosome, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. DNA.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, I even hate talking about that because
I know it's a scientific
manipulated right now. Yeah.
Well, it's science. Those words are just scientific. Silliness.
Silliness. So this was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I have given you every herb and seed that seedeth upon the face of the earth, every unfruitful tree for the need of building and for burning.
For every unfruitful tree, where can you show that? For the need of building and for burning. That's amazing.
So I was saying, the pine trees. Like, you can't eat a pine cone, so it's
Yep.
unfruitful for you. And the fruits.
It's great to use for building, right?
Building. You can burn it, I guess.
And hickory would be great for burning, right? Because what do you eat from? I mean, there's
you
nuts.
You can have a hickory nut, but it's not like.
It's not that as edible as a pecan or walnut or hazelnut, right?
Mm-hmm. Walnut brownies. Yeah. And the tree in which is fruit seeding. Okay, so
I'm trying to see. Okay, see, I have given you every plant. So in verse 29 of chapter 1, this version says, I have given you every plant that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed to you, it is for food. So again, it ties right in nicely here with this, I've given you, it just says every tree whose fruit yields seed, for you it is for food. Over here, it tells you that there are basically two different types of trees.
Yeah.
Once again, he's created two categories he's created light and darkness, he's created clean and unclean animals, he's created male and female, and he's now created even like the trees, which, provide shelter, or, our source of like heat, life, and then for building and for fire, maybe for altar, for sacrifices. Yeah. And then, and the other are edible. They're for our, our bellies to enjoy.
Well, yours is such a condensed version.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And yours is probably derived from the Septuagint.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to predate it 200 years.
Wow.
So you can imagine, 200 to 300 years. So you can imagine, whoever they were given the Septuagint, I guess, trying to get it into Greek, they're like, just get the gist of it,
Yeah,
just try to get the
you're
gist
right.
So they understand, instead of, actually having all these ideas and thoughts that the Hebrews already had or knew. A lot of this probably was passed down in tradition as well.
Right.
Not necessarily bad tradition.
Yeah.
But
I just think
things that they were already known.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I just find it fascinating that he knew that we would have need for unfruitful trees.
Well, just like unclean animals,
Right. But it's almost as if he knew, right? Like you get the sense of, Adam and Eve they're gonna sin. He's setting the stage for life out of the garden.
Well,
in a way, right?
Yeah, but that's also interesting too, because he's created man and women, and men and female, male and female, and it's not Adam and Eve.
That's true. But they're the first two that
told them, increase and multiply, fill the earth with sons and
so daughters. Were there people before Adam and Eve?
I have no idea.
Ruling the earth? I don't know.
Okay, so, but to every beast of the earth and every fowl of the heavens, to every reptile upon the earth in which is the living soul, I have given all green herbs. So every fowl, every reptile, every beast in which there's a living soul, so either they all have living souls or there's only a few that have living souls, I have given green herbs. And it was so. So they were herbivores, everything, and they had a living soul. No, they have a living soul.
Right.
Unless it's just saying the ones who have living souls are herbivores. So
let's read this again. I'm sorry, read that part again.
But to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the heavens, and to every reptile upon the earth, in which is the living soul, I have given all green herbs.
So if you read it backwards, all green herbs I have given to those with living souls, being reptiles, fowls, and beasts. Basically, I have given you all you need. Like, I've given you the herbs of the earth, which should, satisfy you, right? Your living soul. Like, you should have need. You should not have want or desire for anything else.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe?
Yeah.
Because they weren't. I mean, until sin entered the world, right? They weren't eating each other. There was no, what do you call it? The circle of life, or the food chain, right? Though.
Yes. Yeah.
So he basically is saying, I've created all creatures to eat green herbs.
all with living souls.
with living souls.
So are there
that's,
beasts
I don't
that
know.
don't have living souls? Are there reptiles that don't have living souls?
Over here it says, in which there is a living being. So that's
I
in
guess
here.
all that are alive, maybe. So they do have souls. So all bugs do go to heaven.
Gray will be very happy to hear that.
Yeah,
we've told him that, so.
Yeah, so they all have living souls.
That's in here. It's just, I don't, again, you read it in here and
smaller.
you just, it's just overlooked, right? In which there's a living being. Every green plant is for food.
That's interesting.
But living being versus living soul.
I've never caught that
I know.
in just the regular translation.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just never picked up on that either.
Okay, so last
verse.
sentence. And it was so, and Yahuwah beheld everything he had made, and it was very good. And it was evening, and it was morning, the sixth day. Perfect. We end on the sixth day. Seventh day is day of rest, and it just so happens to be Sabbath right now.
That's right.
And we're laying in bed reading Scripture. This is incredible.
And I just love doing this side-by-side reading of the Targum, the Targum Torah, or Torah Targum, however you want to say it. So our goal is to read, starting today, I guess, read one chapter of the Torah, right, until we get through the entire Torah, the first 5 books, right? Genesis, is that right? Genesis, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. I missed Exodus in there.
Yeah.
Genesis, whatever.
Genesis, Psalms, First and Second Peter.
You think I just came to Torah.
Mix it all. Well, I mean, Torah is just instructions. So
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily have to be the Pentateuch, I guess.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true. I guess we're reading so are we reading,
Do what?
So, but we're reading the first 5 books, is that right? Or
Yeah, first 5 books, yes. And we might mix in some Enoch Jubilees.
Well, I think it's been really cool to also pull in. Yeah, but I think it's been cool to pull in Enoch, talking about how Enoch wrote about the stars, and their governance in heaven, right? And just bring in just different texts that you would never see in a Bible that's bound with, a front, a back, old and new, there's just so much richness in reading the Targum, but also reading these texts that have been left out and or removed from Scripture. So,
All right, we're done.
We're done.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.